Welcome to Make Your Mark podcast, where guests share their experiences, insights, and tactics to help you accelerate your business. So building, scaling, and monetizing your business is made easier. And I will be your host, Suthar. Hey guys, welcome back to another episode of Make Your Mark podcast. And oh boy, do I have a treat for you. Now, today's guest, her name is Erin Dimond, right? The name just says it all, guys. Now, she is the CEO and founder of Impact Fitness Coaching Academy. Her life mission is to make people believe in themselves. Everyone she knew around her worked paycheck to paycheck, who barely got through, right? Barely got by. Now she's turned the love of fitness into a 7-figure online fitness coaching business and now helps other fitness enthusiasts and professionals do the same. Oh my goodness, Erin, I am so excited to have you here today.
Yeah, thanks so much for having me. I really appreciate it.
Absolutely. Now, I would love to hear, and I'm sure our audience would love to hear, how you got to this point in business, right? There must have been a journey, some ups and downs you went through, because people just don't wake up one day with a thriving business, right?
Yeah, I always appreciate that question, and I always like to take people through the journey, because I think one of the biggest problems we have in business and in life, frankly, is we're comparing our behind the scenes to everybody's highlight reel. So we see all the wins and all the successes and all the things on Instagram. But I love podcasting for this reason, because you can ask the question, you can go deep, so if you're listening to the podcast right now, let that be your filter of information. Stop looking at the 30-second highlight reel on Instagram. Go deeper. But actually yesterday, April 2nd, 2013 was the day that yesterday was the 11-year anniversary from when I left my corporate job.
Ooh,
so that was cool to realize. Yeah. So 11 years ago is kind of when the journey started. Honestly, it started even before that, because I started laying the groundwork prior, but definitely not an overnight thing that happened to build a multiple 7-figure business. But if I take you all the way back, I graduated college. I said, all right, I really want a safe, secure, steady job with benefits. My parents, we grew up lower middle class, and we just always had struggle with money in our household. So my solution to not do that was just to have a secure job. I was always going to have a paycheck. I was always going to be able to depend on it. And I did that. So I graduated with a degree in health information management and systems, which essentially just means it's sort of like business administration and healthcare kind of thing. Yeah. Well, I got a job at a medical software company, and I absolutely hated my life. I was like, oh my gosh, is this really what I'm going to do every single day? Sit in this cubicle and talk about something that I just do not care about at all. And I thought there was something wrong with me, because I was like, everyone else around me is doing it. They're seeming to be fine with it. Like, you just be grateful, just appreciate that you have a job. And I just couldn't, my soul was dying on the inside. Oh, no. So I eventually was like, well, if I am going to hate my job so much, I'm at least going to have a hobby that I enjoy. And that hobby was fitness. And so I started competing in fitness competitions. I started going to group fitness classes, different things like that. And the moment my life really changed was to realize that I could get paid for something that I actually cared about. The first moment, I'll never forget it, that I received a paycheck as a group fitness instructor. I was like, wait a minute, that I can actually put these two things together. Maybe there is a way out. So it was like I didn't know before, but and then I realized that that's kind of when everything changed. So then I started posting online, started sharing my journey online, started slowly accepting online clients. I made so many mistakes along the way. I didn't really know what I was doing. But I came to the market kind of early. In 2013, there weren't a lot of online fitness coaches. There are a lot of online fitness coaches now, and my business has since evolved since then. And gosh, the methods that I was doing back in 2013 would not work for our students today. I'm embarrassed, looking at the stuff that I used to do, but it worked back then. So we scaled our first company, which was T4E Systems, to 7 figures. We had a team of registered dietitians, coaches, I think we had a team of 6 or 7, scaled that company. And then eventually I started getting asked a lot, hey, can you help me on the business side of things? I'm also a fitness professional, would love to do what you're doing. How do you guys have so many clients? How are you doing it? I just don't get the marketing sales. The marketing and sales stuff was my favorite part of it, to be able to attract clients and bring people in the door. So as I started talking about it, I was like, I really would love to put together an offer, and this is what I'd love to do. So I partnered with my now husband on the offer, and that's kind of how IFCA was born. So that was in 2017. And since, we have helped just over 3,000 fitness coaches, personal trainers, registered dietitians, people in the healthcare field, take their company completely online and serve clients.
Oh, wow. Okay. Now, I've got so many questions from what you just, right? Like, okay. So, how easy or how difficult, especially when you started so many years ago, right? Was it to transition as someone in the fitness industry and going online, right? Because like you said, not many people were doing that before.
Yeah. It was easier back then, but honestly, it's still pretty easy now because most fitness professionals are terrible at business. So if you can just even be a little bit good at business, it's not that hard. If you can just learn marketing and sales, most fitness professionals, they're so focused on their craft, which, they should be. The ticket to get in the arena is to be a good coach, to be good at what you do, right? So they're so focused on helping people lose weight and the nutrition component and the macros and the energy balance, and, all that stuff, but they're not thinking, how do I get my next client? How do I, what are effective lead generation strategies? How do I get people in the door? They're just not marketing and sales experts. So if you can even be a little bit good at that, then you can have a lot of great success. So back then it was pretty easy because I came to the market with what you call like a blue ocean offer. I was able to say, hey, I offer online fitness coaching. Not many people were offering online fitness coaching, And so now today, you can't show up on Instagram and say, I offer online fitness coaching. They're like, cool. Just like the 20 other people that I scrolled by who do the same exact thing. Tell me why you're different.
Right.
If you're not different, then you just have to be the cheapest. Nobody wants to play that game because then you are stuck with hundreds of clients that don't get results anyway, that you start to resent. So now you have to come to the market and you have to make a more appealing offer. You have to solve a problem. We can get into how things have changed, but either way, it's really not that hard. I'd say the hardest thing back then was just getting over fear of judgment because it was different, right?
Right.
I had people coming to me saying like, wait, what do you do again? You're an online fitness coach. I was so embarrassed by it because people were just like, you do what? That I actually opened a gym so that I could say I'm a gym owner because I was afraid of people's judgments. That was a big thing that got in the way. But overall, honestly, it's not as hard as people think.
Interesting. See, I was going to ask you, like, the concept of having a fitness instructor on a screen and not with you back then was just like, how is that going to work? How are you going to help me get fit like that? You have to be here with me, right? So you probably got that question, or, like, this is no way going to work. How did you get around that or even explain that, like, back then?
Yeah. Well, honestly, though, that's a really appealing thing when it comes to an offer. So people want to do something that justifies why they tried and failed in the past. So
Mm,
people want a new opportunity, a new vehicle. So most people weren't coming at me with skepticism saying, because the reality is most people weren't going, oh, I have this in-person trainer and I'm getting great results with them. So why should I do online? They're going, I have this in-person trainer, but I'm still 20 pounds overweight because I show up and I do the workouts, but I don't monitor what goes in my mouth and I don't drink water and I don't, so they're still stuck. So they're looking for a new solution. So how can you apply this to you today? Well, today you can't say, hey, I have a new solution because online fitness coaching is no longer a new solution. Most people understand now, especially post COVID, we understand that we can do most things online, but the way that you come to them today and get people to go, wow, it sounds like you're reading my diary. I want to sign up with you. I don't care how much money it costs. Is you solve their problem in a way that justifies why they tried and failed in the past. So let me give you a quick example. A really good example of that, and there's so many of them that I could kind of rattle off, is if you help, let's say, postpartum moms who have pelvic prolapse and they pee their pants when they jump and they feel really self-conscious about their C-section shells. And they have these really deep problems that you solve all of them. You're the one-stop shop because you get it, because you understand moms, you understand what their busy schedule is like, you understand the unique problems that they're dealing with. You package an offer with all of that. They're no longer looking for a fitness coach, and they're not saying, well, you're more expensive than the last person. They're saying, it doesn't matter. I'm not shopping on price here. You solve my problem. So really the same thing applies as it applies back then. It's just like, have a better offer than the rest of the market.
Wow. Okay. I'm so distracted by Einstein over your shoulder because he's intently listening to what you're
My
saying.
little guardian angel.
I love it. Awesome. So basically, what you're saying, it was just in the languaging and how you make the offer and how you explain it to your clients.
Really, yeah, business can be pretty simple. Have
Yeah.
an offer. Have an offer that you can ethically charge a good amount of money for because you're solving a big, painful, one person's unique problem, and then find a way to get leads to that offer. Like that's there you have a business. And then there you're making money. And then of course a bunch of problems pop up after that. But those are the two things. And that's where most people get stuck, right? They're thinking their problem is lead generation. Nobody's reaching out. Well, nobody's reaching
Right.
out because you're not solving a problem that's worth solving. It's because you've made yourself a commodity and you're not speaking to that market of one and solving one person's really painful, expensive problem.
Right. Oh, interesting. Oh, I love that. And out of interest, do you still have the gym?
No, I had the gym for about 5 years and then finally it didn't turn a profit at all. Not in the whole 5 years. Now, if I could go back today, I probably could, but why would I when we have the ability to have online offerings and not
Right.
have tons of overhead? But yeah, I let go of the gym in 2018.
Oh my goodness, I love it. Now, explain a little bit about your method, right, and how you help professionals, athletes, people in the fitness industry, because you already mentioned that they're good at doing fitness, they're good as a coach, but they're not necessarily good as business owners.
Yeah. Well, what's so interesting about our space is there's low barrier to entry, which means there has to be high levels of innovation, right? So anybody can pop up tomorrow and say, and they do, they pop up every day. They say, I'm a business coach who helps fitness professionals because, you don't have to take an exam. You don't have to have any credentials. Like, it doesn't matter. Unlike a lawyer, you can't just pop up and say, hey, I'm practicing law today. So with law, there is lower innovation that happens. The law doesn't change all that often. And when it does, it goes through an arduous process to change. But in our business, if you would have asked me, how we help fitness professionals 6 months ago, would have had a different answer because we have to evolve so quickly because the market changes so fast. So I'll tell
Right.
you what's working in 2024. What's not working? Well, I'll start with what's not working. What's not working as well in 2024 is what we call posting and praying. What used to work back when I got into the space, and even into like 2019, is I post some content, I make a call to action, I message people in my DMs, I can like talk to them about getting on a call with me. People were much more receptive to content because they weren't as inundated with it. Instagram and Facebook reach is down 60% since 2019.
Oh,
So
no
if
way.
yeah, I mean, you've probably noticed, right? I'm sure, I know I have. Like our team has, a lot of our clients have felt it.
I mean, to be fair, I don't use Instagram or anything like that. I'm like Facebook, YouTube, podcast. Right?
Got it. That's actually that's better. That like if you want to ask me what platform to use, I'd ask like who your niche is, what your offer is and stuff. But Instagram's hard. Instagram's especially hard in the fitness space because for a lot of reasons that we don't really have to get into. But Instagram, Facebook reach is down 60%. So what do we do now in 2024? We need to evolve. And so what we are teaching inside of IFCA is we like to teach our students to bring people over to SMS and email. And we have a software that does it, or it's like all done through AI, which if you think about it, of open rate for SMS is like 95%. If you get a text message, you're opening it. As compared to people, like you post something on Instagram and less than 5% of your audience sees it. So
Mhm.
how do we pull people over? And then how do we nurture them in a way that doesn't take up all of your time? Like the old way was send a bunch of DMs, like just randomly DM strangers, spend your time, send 100 DMs a day. Now with the evolution of AI, we don't have to do that. Like AI can actually do that for you through a software that we have inside of our company. And it's not like they're going to set all your appointments and close your clients and coach your clients. Like we're not there, nor will we ever be. But they can assist in the process and nurture. So that's one thing we're teaching today. But you might be saying, okay, cool. That's how I would nurture all the leads. How do I get them in the first place? How do I
Right.
get new attention and get new eyeballs? Well, old way, we used to be able to post things on social media and it would go viral and they would reach new people. That's just tough. That's just a tough strategy. It's not a predictable strategy. What we really like to do is utilize IG growth ads. So you can spend a little bit of money. And if you're tracking data on the back end of your business, you spend the money in a way that you're making a 5x return. So I put this little bit of money in to attract new leads, to convert them on the back end. So those are a couple things that we're doing and teaching our students these days in terms of like lead generation and actually converting those leads into clients.
Awesome. I love it. Now, you mentioned the little 2-letter word AI, right? Like that is huge now. And so I'm so glad you mentioned it, because that just tells me you're embracing it, because there's still a lot of people out there that they're fearing AI, right? So what kind of things in the fitness industry do you look at when using and implementing AI?
Yeah. How unfiltered can I be on this podcast? I should ask.
Totally unfiltered.
Okay. I want to give you a hilarious analogy.
Okay.
When it comes to AI, people who are afraid of AI are like the guys who are afraid of using a vibrator because they think the vibrator is going to take their job. No, the vibrator is your friend, right? AI is your friend. You can use AI as your copywriting assistant. You can use AI as your sales assistant. You can use them in just so many different ways. And Chat GPT is really just like, when we think of AI, I think we only think of Chat GPT. I know I did for a long time. But gosh, if you think that's the only thing, it's kind of like thinking Google's the only part of the internet, right? No, there's softwares that are being developed. You can talk to what seems like a human in real time. I also used to think AI was just like sequences, where it's like, okay, like how you have an email sequence. I used to think, well, okay, people are calling that AI now. No. It's not really a sequence where you say this and they just spit something out to you no matter what 12 hours later. Could be actual intelligence, like interpreting what somebody's saying and then asking the next intelligent question. And you can get really scared and go, oh my God, that's going to take my job. I don't think it's ever going to take the job of online fitness coaches or many service providers, because the more we move towards technology and automation, the more people become starved for human connection. And it's like meant to assist and do absolutely everything else. It will get rid of certain jobs, and that's fine. That just means that you have to be more of a thinker rather than a doer.
Oh my goodness, we have to think now? Oh my goodness. Right. Awesome. Now, you've mentioned some of the things that, where fitness people in the industry aren't very good at business, but when you actually buckle down with clients, right, and that they're not very good at business, what are some of the downfalls or some of the things that keep coming up, right, that just doesn't work, right, when it comes to the fitness industry now? Like when you're working with your clients, what kind of things keep coming up, or misconceptions are there out there?
Yeah, like on the business side of things, like what's stopping the business from growing?
Yeah.
Most of the time it's the person and it's their beliefs around something. I was just talking about this on an open office hour call that I had with our students, where this particular call, what I do is they submit a sales call, and then I pull up the recording and I go through it and I listen to it. And it's usually a call that they didn't close and they want to get better at having the sales conversation. So I'll stop at every point of the call and say, hey, this was great, but I would have said this here, or this is great, but like on the script, it has this. And usually it's not that someone doesn't know how to follow a script or a proven framework, because anybody in IFCA, they have all the tools to succeed.
Right.
And it's not that they're like, oh, I couldn't read the question on the script. It's because they have some belief in their mind about why they can't ask the question like that. And so I'm always like, hey, you skipped this question. They're like, I know. I'm like, what do you mean? And they're like, well, it just sounds kind of salesy, or I'm afraid that they'll think this if I ask this. And then we get to the root of it, and it's like, well, why do you think that? And it's just some people pleasing tendency, or just something that they have going on that usually comes from their past. Really easy framework I like to think about this is action, belief, experience. So if you're taking an action, whether it's like, I don't want to ask this person this question because it's going to make them feel like I'm pushing them. Well, that's the belief. That's the belief behind your action. I don't want to push them. But behind every belief, there's an experience that had to happen to give you that belief. So what's the experience? Well, the experience is one time I was at a used car lot and I got pushed into buying this car and it broke down. I'm just making something up, but it broke down when I drove off the lot. Oh, okay. So you're afraid to ask this question and sell your nutrition and training program that is transformational, life changing. This person just told you that they have all the markers, they're pre-diabetic, that they're gonna probably, die early. They don't want their kids to follow this path, but you can fix that. You can literally save their life. But since you had this experience at the used car lot, you're afraid to ask the question. And so when we start unpacking those things, people are usually like, oh, yeah, never mind. I don't believe that anymore. I'll ask them that question. I realize now I'm helping them. It's always something in our head that gets us caught up in this. It's either we don't have the proven framework or there's something inside of our head. But like for our students, it's like, here's this thing. Why isn't the thing working for you? Oh, because you don't have belief in the vehicle. Here's the belief that you need in the vehicle.
Right. Oh my goodness. So when you are working with your clients, right, what does the process look like there? Because we all have stories, we all have gone through something in our past life. Do you spend a lot of time breaking through some of their old habits and bringing out new ones? Like how does that side of things work?
Yeah. So from a support standpoint, we do, but also one thing that is really helpful that helps people get through those really fast is we have about 300 active students in the community. And so it's a lot easier when you get into a community and there's like 20 people who are posting about how they're crushing it. And you're like, well, what did you do? And they're like, the thing I was told to do. And it's the exact same thing that you have that you're supposed to do, right? It makes it a little bit easier to be like, I should probably just execute on that thing because there's so much proof here that it works. So joining a community like ours is extremely helpful for that. But yeah, in addition to that, we do a hybrid of a group model and one-to-one. So every single person who comes in the group, they have a one-on-one success coach and that success coach has built their own 6 or 7 figure online fitness coaching business. So they walk the walk, talk the talk. Right. They have 24/7 access to them through messaging. They have one-on-one calls with them. A lot of that is basically, here's your roadmap, do the things on your roadmap. And then the conversations are like, why aren't you doing the things on your roadmap? Well, because when I was 4, my dad told me blah, blah, like that kind of stuff is usually what comes up. And then we have like group specialty calls once a day, which that's more of it depends. Some of that are centered around mindset, but a lot of that is come on, see the other students that are implementing the things, having the success, asking the questions, get a bit of tactical feedback. But I'll just say this, like, we help as mentors as much as we can, but success is ultimately in your own hands, and especially when you get to this point where you might realize, okay, I'm the one holding me back. I was the only person holding me back for a long time. If you can name a limiting belief, I've had it. And you have to get to this point where you're just like, okay, so I believe this thing based off this experience that doesn't make any sense at all because my parents did this thing when I was 8. Am I going to choose to hang on to that, or am I going to follow in the footsteps of people that I actually want to be more like, whose lives that I have? And you really just have to make that choice. And I think people are usually waiting on the feeling to proceed the action. They're like, well, I feel scared, or I feel like an imposter, or I feel like this, so I'm not going to do it. It doesn't work that way. Yeah, you should, and you do, and you feel that way. And the only way to not feel that way is to act so that you gather evidence that you can do it. So then eventually the feeling goes away.
Oh, I love that. Oh my goodness. Now, Erin, I know at this point people are thinking, I need to connect with Erin, right? I need to learn more about what she does.
I'll speak belief into you all day.
Right? And so where can they go to connect with you and to learn more?
Yeah, well, I usually hang out on Instagram, Erin Dimond Fitness, Dimond. If you are a health or fitness coach and you're wanting more information about IFCA, we're also on Instagram, Impact Fitness Coaching Academy. We also have a podcast, the Fit Biz podcast. So on any podcast platform that you're listening, you can hop over there. We have tons of just free trainings. I recorded one recently that kind of is along the lines of what we're saying today. It's called How to Get Over Anxiety in Your Business. That might be really helpful. Just a lot of the mindset stuff that we're talking about right now. But I mean, you can find everything over there if you're a fitness business owner or if you aspire to be one.
Oh, fantastic. Now, before we come to an end to this, do you have any final words that you want to share with our audience?
Man, that is a very broad question. But ultimately, words of wisdom, I think most things can be solved by realizing that most of our problems are feeling problems and not actual thinking problems, like kind of what I was just talking about. It's like we wait for this feeling to go away before we do something. But when you can go, you know what? If that's just a feeling and I should just go ahead and act, because feelings, they don't actually matter most of the time. They're never going to stop. They're never going to like shut off in my head. And I'm just going to go forward and do. You'd be shocked how much further you'd be along. And I know that's very, very broad, but it can apply to almost anything, especially business.
Absolutely. Erin, thank you so much for coming to the show and dropping so many golden nuggets in such a short amount of time. Thank you so much.
You're welcome. I'm glad I was able to provide value. Thank you for having me.
Thanks for listening to Make Your Mark podcast at www.makeyourmarkpodcast.com. Make sure you hit that subscribe button so you get this and every other episode that comes out. We have lots of great stuff coming, so make sure you hit subscribe so you don't miss it. And thank you in advance for all the reviews and comments. I appreciate it so much, and I look forward to serving you in next week's episode.